On today's episode of the News You Missed, we're going to be detailing and discussing the PlayStation Classic game lineup and why people are very upset at the new plug-and-play classic PlayStation console because the games are somewhat of a mixed bag. Mostly, a lot of people are feeling they are underwhelmed, and other people are okay with them. But for a plug-and-play console that's going to be around $100, people were expecting something else. So before we get right into it, I just want to mention that, guys, good old Proto fought the good fight and resisted getting sick for a week. But even old Proto succumbed to the sickness. Yes, I'm not feeling the best, so I'm very, very sorry if I'm just not my happy self. I apologize. I'm trying to get news stories out. I'm trying to do videos as much as I can, but this specific sickness does target the way I sound and my energy. Anyways, here we go. So the Sony PlayStation Classic is a game console that is modeled after the original PlayStation, which basically is an HDMI accepting PlayStation Classic. Now this is pretty amazing because if you get on eBay and you try to get yourself a PlayStation like an original PS1 and try and get it to accept an HDMI signal, you're going to have to get a degradation of signal. You're not going to get 1080p clarity straight from the console itself because you're going to have to do some modifications and things like that. There's very few consoles that are able to do full clean 1080p from before, way back in the day in the 90s. It's just next to impossible to get without some very serious modifications, which makes this console a very compelling buy for a lot of people. Casuals, modders, things like that all alike. But the game lineup and the price is pretty high, considering Nintendo's NES and SNES Classic that had some very, very compelling games, albeit some games that people didn't personally enjoy. Most of them were very, very highly rated, and they were very hackable systems, meaning you could put any ROMs on it that you personally wanted, so if it didn't have the game you liked, you could just put it on there yourself. This one is going to cost you $100, whereas the aforementioned systems only cost you $70, $80, maybe $90. Maybe you overpaid a little bit on eBay, but right now the MSRP of the PlayStation Classic is $100. The games that come on it are underwhelming due to the simple fact that a lot of people had thought that there were going to be other games on it. For example, a lot of people do enjoy Cool Borders 2, but they would have liked to have seen something else. Grand Theft Auto is good and great and everything, but that's the overhead kind of shooter. It's not the third-person classic that we know and love today. And then other games are very, very good on it, like Metal Gear Solid. That's a really, really great entry to be putting on the PlayStation Classic. Almost sells the system itself. You know, you have Rayman, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. These are absolutely great games. Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, wonderful. Great, thumbs up. But then there are some variations of these games and some other games that people would like to have seen on here. Just by the simple fact of me discussing this and talking to other people, people would have liked to have seen games like Brave Fencer Musashi, MDK, Fighting Forces, Chrono Cross, Road Rash is personal favorite of mine. I would have loved to have seen on there. Gran Turismo 1 and 2, Spyro, and Crash. Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, Spyro and Crash aren't on there because of the recent remakes and remasters. So obviously they don't want to take sales from those types of entries and pull them over to the PlayStation Classic. Sony would be fighting with itself. Okay, I understand that, but these were console sellers for Sony. I mean, how many times have you guys seen the Nintendo commercial where Crash is yelling at Nintendo headquarters? Yeah, man, that's a classic, and it's not here on the PlayStation Classic. So continuing on the list of games that people wanted, Tomb Raider 1 and 2, and again, these kind of fall into the remake territory, where there's a new Tomb Raider out now, and there's several new Tomb Raiders out, but still, Tomb Raider 2 was one of the best Tomb Raiders ever created. Not on here. Grand Theft Auto 2, if they have Grand Theft Auto, why not have 2? 2's a better sequel, it's a better game in my personal opinion. Still an overhead type shooter, not the 30 classic that we know of today. Third-person shooter, not that. So even still, I wonder why they didn't put 2 on here. There's no Mega Man X4. Again, that might be due to the collection that recently released. There's no Spider-Man. There's no Vagrant Story. There's no Tenchu Stealth Assassin. Street Fighter 3 Alpha. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Not here. Ape Escape, Parappa the Rapper was a real big one that a lot of people wanted to see. There's no Silent Hill. There is Twisted Metal, but no Twisted Metal 2 or 3. And again, those are just better variations of the Twisted Metal formula. So why the original and not the sequel that is a better game? Or the third one. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, not on here. I mean, no Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Pretty crazy, because that was a big thing in that generation as well. And then finally, the biggest one, in my personal opinion, is Castlevania Symphony of the Night is not part of that classic collection. Which means, you know, obviously Konami is trying to put out Castlevania and get sales other places as well. So it's not particularly surprising that Castlevania wouldn't be on there. You know, of course, they're going to release a package where you can get Castlevania in another game. So, of course, they're not going to put it on the PlayStation Classic. Still a massive letdown and massive disappointment, because that was one of the biggest games of the generation. We do get games like Wild Arms, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. There are good games, as I said before. There's even Resident Evil Director's Cut, Mr. Driller. Great games, very fun games in their own right. Even Final Fantasy VII, which is just iconic. If that wasn't on here, I mean, that would have been it. But there is Final Fantasy VII on here. So, again, a game that defined the PlayStation itself is on here. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, okay, why are people so upset? Games are subjective. They're opinionated. Absolutely, I'm with you. They are. It's very difficult to say to one person, yeah, this is a good game, and if they just don't like the genre, or they don't like that game in particular, they might say, hey, you know, not really. So, the Japanese version of the PlayStation Classic actually has a different lineup, which makes sense. Japan's a different country, so of course, games sell better there. But they have games like Armored Core, which is a massive big one for me. This was a mech game where you could customize a mech and do battle. Very similar to Mech Warrior, but slightly different in the gameplay and the style. A very fun game all the same, and it's not in the American version or the European version of the PlayStation Classic, which just leaves me scratching my head. Why? They even have Persona on the Japanese PlayStation Classic, which is a big one a lot of people were very upset about. But a lot of the games are similar. There's minor variations that are a little bit different. And overall, a lot of people were just... They said it was just a mixed bag, that they really appreciated the PlayStation Classic and its lineup, but there were some games that they liked and some games that they didn't. Meaning that you're paying $100 for these games. Are these games altogether worth $100, even with the ones that you're not going to play? If you were only going to play Final Fantasy VII, if you were only going to play Metal Gear Solid, if you were only going to play maybe GTA once in a while, Rayman every now and again, is all that worth $100? And a lot of people would say no. It's worth the money because of the novelty behind the idea. You pick up this console, it's as small as your hand, you can take it to parties, you can plug it and play it, and it's a great party console. You have 2 controllers, and you know what? Hop on, let's play a game together, you know, it'll be real fun. But most of these games are games that people didn't really remember that much. I mean, I know that they were popular, there's no questioning that, but there are definitely more popular games out there that are not on this system, which has led a lot of people to say it's a mixed bag. I mean, I was really shocked that Gran Turismo, not Gran Turismo 1 or 2, were on here. It's crazy, because again, that was a big racing game that really defined the PlayStation. But yeah, okay, there is Ridge Racer Type 4, which is an absolute great game as well, but no Gran Turismo. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? A lot of games from specific people's past aren't going to be on here, and they're going to look at it and say, well, if they don't have this game, I'm not going to buy it. But that's where the modifications come in. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not be naive. You can hack, you can emulate, you know what you're doing. And if there's not a lot of DRM protection on this, I'm quite sure the flash memory will accept a certain degree of games. How many games? That's a good question, because I'm definitely going to want to put games on here. Like Digimon World for the PlayStation, I'll definitely want to put that on my PlayStation Classic. So I'm going to have to hack and mod it and try and figure it out myself. How about you, ladies and gentlemen? Are you excited to see this PlayStation Classic come out? Are these games worth $100 to you? You let me know in the comment section below. And I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. I would really appreciate it if you gave me a like. I'm pretty sick, man, so I'm driving through this video. And I would appreciate it if you subscribe, because, that's a great way to keep up to date with gaming news. I try to be on time, just sick recently, so you gotta cut me a break here. Anyways, I'll be coming back with another video very soon. As always, good gaming, God bless. And thank you for taking time out to watch the video.